All right, you were showing your votes on the board behind us, but not on our screens. So go ahead and it is being recorded. If you look behind, oh, and here we go. Now it's on the screens. Computers are definitely a little sleepy today. All right, the clerk will close the roll and the bill report 17-0. Chair Soul, does that complete your report?
It does. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Right. Thank you so much for your work this entire session, Madam Chair, on your subcommittee. All right, just going back to one quick item that we did have this outside of the subcommittee report was Senate Bill 670, patroned by Senator Salim. I know there's been a tremendous amount of work on this bill this session. We do have the work group on autonomous vehicles that is also ongoing, and believe that we are in a posture where we want to make sure that that work group has the opportunity to expand perhaps some of its membership and really dive in deeper this year before making some legislative recommendations. So I think at this time, the decision that we have before us is to carry over Senate Bill 670, and I will write a letter explaining some of the intent I mentioned around the work group scope and membership to make sure that we are in a strong position to deal with some of the concerns around this emerging industry. So I think what we would like for the committee is to hear a motion to carry Senate Bill 670 over with the letter.
Madam.
Second.
All right, so moved and seconded. That is a voice vote, so all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, the bill is carried over. All right, we have noted. And we appreciate everyone's work. I know there's been many people, many patrons, including Delegate Reed on the House side working on this issue, Delegate Glass working on the House side on this issue. We've got a lot of leaders in this space and look forward to your work over the coming year and seeing some legislation in the following year. Okay, so we are back on schedule here with our innovations subcommittee. If our chair, Glass, would be ready to begin that report, we will be happy to hear those bills.
Gratitude, Madam Chair. We'll start with Senate Bill 59, and I'm going to offer a substitute. What we're doing with this I move the substitute.
Second.
Moved and second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All right, the substitute's before us. Chair Glass.
All right, so this substitute adds some language in there just to make sure that we were gelling this one up with another House bill to say, or video monitoring systems pursuant to 46.2 TAC 844 on lines 381 and lines 857. And then it also makes a technical correction on line 376. So the substitute also, for it's adopted from the subcommittee, indicates that Senate Bill 150 is incorporated and includes this amendment. This bill authorizes retired sworn officers to registered special conservators of the peace and technicians employed by a locality to swear or affirm certificates for the purposes of enforcement of violations recorded by traffic light signal violations monitoring systems or traffic control violation monitoring systems or photo speed monitoring violation systems upon completion of training course developed and approved by the Department of Criminal Justice Services. The bill also requires all law enforcement officers swearing or affirming such certificates to complete such training course. These provisions of the bill will have an effective date of July 1, 2027. The bill also requires the Department of Criminal Justice Service to develop, approve, and make such training available no later than January 1st, 2027. And I so move.
Second.
Thank you, Chair Glass. I do want to note before we vote on that motion that the substitute that we adopted is it being introduced at this full committee. The motion or the action that the subcommittee took was to incorporate the two bills. That did require a little bit of the cleanup that Delegate Chair Glass just explained in the substitute. So while it doesn't necessarily change anything about the scope of the bill, it is some new language so that was required after that incorporation. So I do want to give a quick opportunity, since it is new language, to ask if there is anyone on the committee that has any questions about the substitute with some of the description that Chair Glass gave on it. And I'm not seeing anyone from the committee. And since, again, Delegate Ballard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to make sure I understand what we're doing, I guess this could be a question for council.
So typically, in cases where I've represented folks for violations with a speed camera, it requires generally the out-of-state company to come into court and certify the violation, the speed. So what we're doing here is we're saying someone local can certify to that violation in court to prove the charge, which in my mind dramatically changes the way we would handle these traffic infractions. Is that accurate? So it's basically making it easier for people to get speeding tickets with photo monitoring devices?
Madam Chair, Delegate, the bill expands who can certify the certificates and provides DCJS training for them.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right. Any other questions, to the committee? On the substance of the substitute, I know we heard the bill in subcommittee, but on the substance of the substitute itself, I wanted to ask if there is anyone in the public that wished to come forward to speak for or against. All right. So there has been a motion and a second to report the bill. I'm sorry. Are you coming forward? Support? Oh, you go ahead and come forward so you can be, we want to make sure the substitute language gets heard. So please feel free to state your name and your support.
Affairs Manager for Newport News, and we do support the bill. We like the idea that all of the people who would be able to certify these types of infractions would have a consistent training course, so the results would be more consistent, and also that these would be local employees that were employed by our localities, which means that our sworn law enforcement officers could be out in the community being law enforcement. So we do support the bill, substitute just as it is.
And if I could ask, we noted that it does have involved the DCJS training component, and so I think you hit on that was some uniformity in the training that everyone would receive, and I think that's been something we've discussed in this committee is if we are going to entertain the idea of, expanding the scope of who outside of current law enforcement can certify these, having that DCGS training. Can you speak a little bit about what that includes, or do you have that information, or are we just higher level, it's DCJS and they're determining what that needs to be?
Yes, Madam Chair. I do not know exactly what that course will look like. I know that they have been, Senator Diggs did meet with them about doing this, so they have discussed the possibility, and I'm not going to speak for DCJS, but of just putting together something that's consistent across the board so that no matter where you are in Virginia, how your infraction is judged is going to be the same.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, so we do have a motion.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Delegate Austin. Oh, sorry,
Madam Chair, I'm just, maybe clerk can clarify this, but at what point in time through this process does this review take place? Is this prior to the citation being sent out that you violated, or only if you contest it is it then determined in court?
If the patron would like to come forward, I think I know the answer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. May I answer the question? No, this is prior to the summons issues. So it's my understanding that the vendor will send over the potential violations that they have identified. A person who will now be trained to look at this, which will provide consistency across the state and making sure that everybody is doing it properly and they're doing it the same, that this person will now determine if this is an actual violation or not.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that, but I still have some concerns. I think years ago we had a situation where body cameras and the Commonwealth's attorneys were having to review all the body camera issues associated. So, I've supported speed cameras over time, but I'm getting to the point in time where I really am beginning to take a little issue with speed cameras. I know a lot of localities have collected quite a bit of money through the violations. I support it because I think it does free up law enforcement to do other things, but I'm not sure how I'm going to vote on this. Thank you, Senator. Appreciate your comments.
Delegate Glass.
Gratitude, Madam Chair. I just wanted to, if I may, speak to the bill with regards to the question that was asked from the delegate, if I may, Ms. Chair.
You have the floor, Delegate.
Okay. Madam Chair, so something that was brought to our attention as we have the agency meetings on this was there were also citations that were happening whereby a car that was being towed was getting a ticket. And so you need someone in place before that citation is sent out because obviously that car is not being driven by anyone, it is being driven. So this process of getting a standard so that whether I get a ticket, which I don't want to get one, in Winchester or I get it in Virginia Beach, that the Commonwealth has set a standard. And I think every year this subcommittee on innovations has heard a bill where we just keep adding to the list of folks that can verify to know specific standards. So the discussion that was adjudicated in the subcommittee was around those sort of things of we've got to set a precedent and a standard, and the smartest people in the room to probably do it is DCJS. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Delegate O'Quinn.
I have a question either for the patron or for council. I'm not sure which, but I'll ask it and then we can see who wants to take it. Is that okay, Madam Chair?
You go ahead and proceed, and we can see who
Okay.
it's best suited for.
Perfect. So in this scenario, with this new class of folks who can do this certification, if I receive one of these citations, does that essentially make the ticket automatic, so that if I show up in court to contest it, is anyone there from the other side, or am I basically guilty? End of story.
Well, I don't know exactly who would be best suited to answer the question as it stands. I will take a chair's prerogative to say that the bill that I hope will be passed and become law will create the uniform summons that OES is developing. So that's kind of forward thinking of where I'd like to see this going. So if the guardrails bill that we'll be hearing again when it comes back from the Senate, you know, my intent on this technology would be you'd have it certified by someone trained to do so, which this bill expands the scope of who that is. And then that would kind of check that box, which would then enable what I hope will be, and what I will say, the current code then requires a summons to be issued. So current law does require a summons to be issued. It's not happening consistently, which is why I put it in my bill. So I don't know. I'm probably not who you needed to answer the question, honestly, out of everyone. But since I was working on a piece of legislation dealing with this, I figured I'd take the opportunity. But if either the patron or council would like to further clarify, like kind of what happens next.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, you have the floor.
What this bill does not change any of the processes whatsoever. What this bill does is require those people who are administering the program to be properly trained so that across the state, everybody is on the same level playing field. Everybody knows what the procedures are, and so that there is consistency in training and education by these people who are currently doing this. So to me, this is a putting additional training, and maybe a guardrail may be a proper term, but it is not expanding anything or changing anything other than requiring the people who are administering these programs to be properly trained, because there's no training at all right now.
Okay. And Delegate Ballard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Question for, I guess, Senator Diggs or council, if council wants to answer it. So along those lines, along that question, so the certification happens, and I understand that. But if I want to challenge the ticket in court, does the person that certified that come to court and have to testify, and the judge hears evidence of that speeding violation? I guess the answer is probably no, but I view this like a DUI. So if you get a DUI and you blow and it's sent off to the laboratory and they come back with that certificate of analysis, the defendant has the opportunity to object to it and require someone from the laboratory to show up in court so the attorney and the defendant can question that person. Is that how this is going to operate, with that person certifying on the front end?
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yeah.
So this does not change the current process at all. And so I would assume, I've never had this happen, never dealt with that, but I would assume that if you go to court and challenge that, then the state, the locality would have to prove their case by presenting evidence that, hey, everything was in place, things were properly certified or calibrated, that the equipment was working properly that day and had been, calibrated within the specifications required by the vendor. So again, no changes in current process as a summons may have been issued last week or last year. Again, training to make sure things are being done properly and consistently across the state.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I mean, I don't want to beat the dead horse, but a follow-up to that. I understand what you're saying, Senator, but my question is that person going to be in court so I can cross-examine them? Because in the DUI scenario, I can cross-examine the laboratory technician on the BAC. So in this, when you just said that the Commonwealth has to prove its case, does the Commonwealth just stand up and go, look at this certificate that someone certified, and that's the evidence, and I can't challenge a piece of paper?
Madam Chair, if I may. Again, this does not change the current process. It creates training. Would be my assumption that, yes, the prosecution still has to prove their case when somebody challenges one of these issues.
All right, thank you. And Delegate Reed.
Yes, Madam Chair, and as a non-attorney on this, and I don't know if Delegate Ballard would be able to answer this or not, but it's like I'm trying to understand, and where Senator Diggs is coming from, is that under the current process, if someone gets a speeding ticket and they go to court, then what happens? Because right now there's no training, there's no standardized training, so who do they question? Who do they cross-examine? Who stands up on behalf of the locality and says, this is what we've done? Because this seems to be adding an additional layer of training and veracity to the program. So I'm just trying to understand, because again, I've been fortunate that I've not been stopped by one of these. So I'm trying to understand what the current process is.
Madam Chair?
Yep, Senator.
I'm not sure that I know what the process is because I've never been to court for one of these, but it's my assumption that if a person is to challenge this in court, the burden of proof is upon the Commonwealth to prove their case that all of the boxes were checked, all of the criteria was done as required by law. And that kind of goes to the point of this, to make sure that everyone is properly trained so that all the boxes are checked, that everybody is doing this consistently and correctly across the state. Because right now, there is no training, there is no process. I would guess that if a person challenges it, then the person administering the program would show up and do the best they could. And I just think this puts guardrails and strengthens position and makes it consistent and making sure that it's done right in every locality.
Thank you. And Delegate Phillips.
Yeah, I just had a comment, if that's okay, Madam Chair.
Yep, you have the floor.
So, I mean, in my area, if you go to court to challenge these, it generally just gets thrown out currently because the vendor doesn't show up to speak. So this would maybe not change the process, but it would change the veracity of the prosecution, which may or may not be a good thing. But currently, that's generally how it works because these companies may be in Colorado or whatever. They're not sending somebody to Martinsville or Danville, Virginia to speak to a ticket. So I do think it changes it in a fairly drastic way.
If I may, Madam Chair.
You go ahead, Senator. You can have the final word here.
Let me take an example of a red light violation. It's my understanding that a vendor would send what they perceive as a violation to the law enforcement agency. The person administering the program would then look at that to see, hey, this car goes through, has it crossed, was the light red, has it crossed the stop bar, does the tag match what they think it does, the description of the vehicle, to make sure all the pieces are going together to be a legitimate violation. A officer may say, hey, no, they didn't cross the stop bar in time, or this license plate doesn't match, or the vehicle description doesn't match the registration, and then they would decide at that point, this is not a valid, all the pieces of the puzzle will come together, this is not a valid violation, so therefore we are not going to issue a summons. If all the pieces do come together, then they will issue a summons. And so that's the purpose of this, so that everyone is properly trained to know what exactly is a violation and then what are the next steps.
All right, thank you, Senator. So we do have a motion and a second before us to report the bill. So the clerk will please open the roll. Oh, with substitute, yeah. All right, the clerk will close the roll and the bill reports. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members.
All right, Chair Glass, if you would like to continue with your subcommittee report,
Yeah,
please.
gratitude, Madam Chair. I have 5 bills that I would like to take up in block, if I can go through those 5.
That would be fantastic.
Okay, copy.
I know we have a few substitutes, so we'll just be mindful of that.
Yes, ma'am. So starting with Senate Bill 81, this bill provides that state and local law enforcement, it is a substitute. I move the substitute.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All right, it's before us.
Okay, so what this bill does is provide that state and local law enforcement officers may enforce federal traffic infractions on a highway within Planning District 8. It bill also provides that state or local law enforcement agency may operate photo speed monitoring devices on the National Park Highway, as defined in the bill, for the purposes of recording speed violations. Providing such law enforcement agency has been authorized by the federal government or the National Park Service to place that photo speed monitoring device on the National Parkway. The subcommittee recommends reporting on a vote of 10-0, and I so move.
Second.
Okay.
Sorry,
Continue with
moved
the
and
block.
seconded. We'll continue with the block. Go ahead.
My apologies. I should wait to move. Here we go.
No, I just didn't have my mic on. You're good.
Next bill up is Senate Bill 124. This bill clarifies that the payments or reimbursement owed by the Commonwealth to the owner or lien holder of a vehicle under this existing law for the cost of towing, impounding, or mobilizing or storing certain vehicles involved in criminal offenses shall be paid through the state treasury from the appropriation for criminal charges. The bill requires such requests to be on a form developed specifically for the purpose by the Executive Secretary of the Supreme Court. The subcommittee recommends reporting on a vote of 10-0. The next bill is Senate Bill 150, which was incorporated into Senate Bill 59. The next bill is Senate Bill 436, which has some technical amendments. I move the amendments.
Second.
So, Delegate Glass, let's because that one does require a vote to incorporate. Let's pull that one out of the block. So,
Copy off.
Okay.
I'll pull out
We'll
SB
remove
436.
Okay.
Copy. All right. The last bill will be Senate Bill 455, which is a bill that prohibits towing and recovery operators from employing tow truck drivers who are not registered by the Department of Criminal Justice Services as required under law. That limits the requirement that a registered tow truck driver have his or her registration in their possession when driving the tow truck when such driving is for hire. So in that block, I will say again, Madam Chair, we have Senate Bill 81, Senate Bill 124, Senate Bill 150, and Senate Bill 455, all on a vote of 10-0, and I so move.
Second.
All right, it was moved and seconded. Stand by just a second. All right, so Chair Glass, we're just getting some guidance here. I think we want to try to be efficient with the block, but I think it's going to be smoother if we pull out the ones that have the substitutes and amendments. So in the block, which is easier to say what's in the block.
Senate Bill 124 and Senate Bill 455.
And have we done 455? Okay, and the rest have amendments, okay. All right, so we're going to move forward with those in a block. And then, so do we have a motion?
And I so move.
Made and second that motion, thank you. For those two bills.
Correct.
And then we're going to take up the substitutes individually. It's just, I think, going to make it a cleaner process here. So that has been moved and seconded, and we're setting it up here. So when it is ready, the clerk will open the roll. You're not willing to? Okay, clerk is opening the roll. If you could please go ahead and vote for those bills. All right, the clerk will close the roll and those bills report. So let's just make sure we are on track with the individual ones, Chair Glass. So
Michelle?
we're going to go ahead and
Start
run
with-
us back through real quick, the
Yes, ma'am.
motions that we
Okay,
need.
so we'll start with Senate Bill 81, which had a substitute, which has already been moved and properly second, which came out of the subcommittee on a vote of 10-0, and I so move.
Second.
Moved and seconded, clerk to report Senate Bill 81. Clerk will open the roll. All right, clerk will close the roll. Bill reports. Chair Glass.
Next, we have Senate Bill 84, which has a substitute. I move the substitute.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, the substitute is before us. Go ahead and motion that bill as indicated by your subcommittee.
Madam Chair, that substitute conforms the bill to about House Bill 1330 that was passed and adopted by Senate subcommittee. The subcommittee the bill also needs a technical amendment.
Yes, so Chair Glass, yes, we were just flagging that as well.
Needs a
So there is
substitute
so we've adopted the substitute. There is an additional technical amendment that I'm going to have council report at this time.
Madam Chair, on line 522 of the substitute, after high risk, it strikes speed corridor and inserts intersection segment. It's a technical amendment that makes that one term consistent with the rest of the bill.
So moved.
Moved and seconded to adopt the amendment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposed? All right, so now the substitute with the amendment is before us. Chair Glass, if you'd like to make that final motion.
Yes, Madam Chair, the subcommittee recommends reporting on a vote of 8-2, and I so move.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. The clerk will open the roll to report the substitute is amended. All right, the clerk will close the roll and the bill report. Chair Glass.
Yes, Madam Chair, the next bill we have is Senate Bill 150. This bill would authorize enforcement for speed violations for stop school buses. What we did was we incorporated Senate Bill 150 into Senate Bill 559. The subcommittee recommends incorporating on a vote of 10-0, and I so move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. The vote to incorporate is a voice vote.
I think so.
Is that? All right, it's a voice vote to incorporate. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right.
It's going into 59, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so And that was the bill that we've already reported out. Okay, fantastic. Chair Glass.
Next bill is Senate Bill 219, which has a substitute, and I so move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, before us.
The substitute contains all of the provisions in House Bill 1220, which is Chair Delaney's, with the addition of a second summons and refusal to issue or renew vehicle registration provisions from this bill, and the change to the date of return for the second summons. The subcommittee recommends reporting the substitute on a vote of 8-2, and I so move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Clerk will please open the roll. All right, clerk will close the roll. Bill reports, and Chair Glass.
The final bill is Senate Bill 436. I move the amendments.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it's before us.
Right, the amendments are technical and align the language with the corresponding language, and again, House Bill 1220. This limits the photo speed monitoring devices in highway work zones to where workers are present, as defined by the bill. The subcommittee recommends reporting with amendments on a vote of 10-0, and I so move.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. The clerk will please open the roll. All right, the clerk will close the roll. And Chair Glass, does that complete your report?
Madam Chair, that completes my subcommittee report.
Well, thank you for the hard work of your subcommittee this session as well, and for your leadership. Finally, we've got Chair Reed subcommittee report before us.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. And before I get started, because with our subcommittee meeting being at 4 o'clock on Wednesday, invariably we're at the kind of whims of whatever is happening before us. And so I didn't get a chance yesterday at the end of the committee to be able to say thank you to all of the members for all of their hard work. So I wanted to say thank you now. And I appreciate everything that they've done during the session. So I'm sorry. And so now we'll start with Senate Bill 437, which this has a substitute. And so I move the substitute.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, it's before us.
Madam Chair, the bill before us now authorizes the use of alternating amber and green warning lights on both snowplows as well as truck-mounted attenuators for the purposes of improving safety, and the subcommittee recommended reporting the substitute by a vote of 9-0, and I so move.
All right, moved and seconded. The clerk will please open the roll. No, it's okay. All right, clerk will close the roll. Bill reports. Chair Reed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And the final bill for the Highway Safety and Policy Subcommittee is Senate Bill 506 from Senator Cyphers. And this bill authorizes the application of clear film to the windshield of a vehicle so long as it is maintained in a condition consistent with federal requirements and meets state safety standards. It was recommended reporting by the subcommittee by a vote of 9-0, and I so move.
All right, moved and seconded. The clerk will please open the roll. Clerk will close the roll, and the bill reports.
Madam Chair, that completes my
All
report.
right, well, thank you for your subcommittee's work too, and I'll just go ahead and double on that, pile on the appreciation for all of the subcommittee chairs, for your leadership. I know we did a lot of work in subcommittee, and I just want to emphasize that. There was a lot of thoughtful debate and consideration and work done at the subcommittee that really led us to be in a position where our full committee meetings, could be very productive. And, seeing that, we had the opportunity to have such full hearings in the subcommittee members did a lot of hard work this year, and I'm really grateful for each of you, both the chairs and then all of the members on the committee who did that work. So I just want to extend my gratitude to each of you. I want to make sure we extend our gratitude to our amazing clerk team and our amazing council. So let's give a thanks to you all. You guys are amazing. All of you are great. We love working with you every day, especially the days of these meetings. But you do a lot behind the scenes as well, and so we're grateful to you. And so I want to thank you all. I see Delegate Austin, you have your...
Madam Chair, I'd just
on.
like to take this time to thank you and thank your subcommittee chairs for a great job. Well done. Thank you all. And thank you to staff. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, well, it's been an honor to work with you all another session. This does complete the work of the Transportation Committee for this session, so just grateful to you all, and I'll hear a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, moving second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All right, have a great day. We're adjourned.